is a part of me that even likes this guy. It's a part of me I hate, but it is a part of me.
You'd think after all these years, John Oliver would have run out of ways to roast President Trump. But this week, he didn't just serve tea. He poured molten lava all over it. On Last Week Tonight, Oliver opened with what might be the most literal metaphor in political history. Trump has actually started demolishing part of the White House. Yep, the East Wing's coming down so he can build himself a $250 million ballroom. But that's just the opening act. This week, Trump demanded $230 million from the Justice Department, dropped an AI video of himself dumping on protesters, and even authorized deadly military strikes overseas, all in one news cycle. And Oliver, he called it a metaphor that's almost too on the nose. Because when the president starts tearing down the White House, literally, maybe it's not just the walls that are coming apart. So let's start with the headline grabber, the White House demolition. Trump has ordered the East Wing to be torn down so he can build a $250 million ballroom. Because apparently, when you're president, fixing the country means adding a dance floor. John Oliver showed the images and said what we were all thinking. Those images are distressing, especially when you realize the design looks less presidential elegance and more like Med Spa Versailles. And then came Oliver's punchline, the demolition of the White House, a metaphor that, if anything, is too on the nose. Because really, how do you satirize a man who's already turning symbolism into demolition plans? But as wild as that sounds, that was only the start of the week. After bulldozing the East Wing, Trump apparently decided it was time to bulldoze logic too. Because this week, he's demanding $230 million from the Justice Department as compensation for all those federal investigations into his behavior. Yep, the same Justice Department that investigated him is now, according to Trump, supposed to pay him for the trouble. John Oliver broke it down with his usual mix of disbelief and sarcasm, pointing out that Trump even claimed he'd donate any settlement to, and I quote, charity or something, because nothing screams sincerity like ending a sentence with or something. Oliver then reminded viewers that somehow the chaos doesn't stop there. In his words, but incredibly, we're still not done. And oh boy, he meant it. Just when you think it can't get weirder, Trump logs onto social media and somehow proves us wrong again. This week, he posted an AI-generated video of himself, literally dumping waste on No Kings protesters. Yes, the President of the United States, sharing deep-fake scat humor like it's 2016 all over again. And while that digital mess was trending, Trump also walked out of trade negotiations with Canada, reportedly because of a TV ad he didn't like. Then, in a twist that sounds like a deleted scene from a political satire, he approved a $20 billion bailout to Argentina, all to make sure their new libertarian experiment works out. John Oliver summed it up perfectly. This was a week where diplomacy met meme culture, and somehow both lost. But believe it or not, the chaos was about to take a darker turn. Then came what Oliver called the most shocking story of the week. And honestly, it's hard to argue. Trump has reportedly approved deadly military strikes against boats allegedly smuggling drugs into the United States. So far, at least 40 people labeled as narco-terrorists have been killed. But here's the thing. The administration hasn't provided any public evidence to back up those claims. Nothing. Just the word of the White House. Oliver put it bluntly. Even if they have some, I've watched enough JAG to know the typical approach to drug boats is to intercept and arrest suspects, not murder them without due process. It's a chilling shift from law enforcement to open warfare. And it raises the question, when a president starts deciding who lives and dies without oversight, what's left of accountability? And as if that weren't disturbing enough, the next move took things beyond the sea. Apparently, bombing boats wasn't bold enough. So Trump decided to take things inland. According to reports, he's now planning strikes on suspected drug traffickers in Venezuela, without even bothering to get congressional approval. When asked about it, his response was, well, downright chilling. Trump said, "We're just going to kill people. They're going to be, like, dead." Oliver quoted that line and deadpanned. You know, the kind of thing you expect from a serial killer. Or maybe the mastermind behind Panera Bread's charged lemonades, but not ideally the President of the United States. Because when your foreign policy sounds like a villain monologue, it's probably time to worry. John Oliver closed the segment with a sigh, that trademark mix of disbelief and exhaustion. He reminded viewers that Last Week Tonight tapes on Saturdays, so as he put it, who knows what's happened in the last 24 hours? Because at this pace, every news cycle feels like a new season of chaos. Between tearing down the White House, trying to get paid by the Justice Department, sharing AI scat videos, and authorizing extrajudicial strikes, Oliver said Trump has now effectively appointed himself judge, jury, and executioner, not just for Americans, but for foreign citizens too. And the truly maddening part, he added, is that neither Congress nor the courts seem interested in stopping it. We're supposed to live in a country of checks and balances, he said, not one man's improv show. So if this week felt wild, remember, it's only week 41 of his term. And if you're somehow still standing after all that, hit like, subscribe to Papaya Room, and tap that bell icon so you don't miss the next chapter in America's most unpredictable reality show.